What's your name, man? Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah. Welcome to Accidentally Autistic. Nicky is going to present Hamilton from the musical Hamilton.
Yes, I'm not doing the actual historical figure Alexander Hamilton
That would
because
be
I
a
don't
wild thing to suggest.
know anything about him because I never read the Chernow bibliography because I had a special interest in the musical only. So, Alexander Hamilton, I'm really worried that I'm going to start like reading the lyrics as
intonation. Literally everything that I've done for this channel, I've like consciously retoned the sentences I'm quoting so that they have a different tone to how they were said in the show, because in my head I remember them exactly as they were pronounced in the recording. But I was doing a little bit in Javert, like I did a little bit in It's Always Sunny, but I was also like slightly modulating.
So Hamilton, self-described polymath and pain in the ass. Like, it's a good place to start. So we are, like, after the first intro song, he reveals, he's talking to Burr, and he reveals that he punched the bursar at Princeton because he thought he was being called stupid. Burr is like, you punched the bursar? He's like, yeah, he looked at me like I was stupid. I'm not stupid. And also, like, during this interaction, he's like, are you Aaron Burr? And Burr's like, yeah, who are you? And Hamilton's like, I've been looking for you. And Burr is like, this is really creepy. And then Burr says that he's an orphan, and Hamilton's like, you're an orphan? Of course, I'm an orphan. And he's like really weird about this. And then he's like, I wish there was a war. Because he's just like pattern matching, where he's like, you're like me and I want to be like you and we're both orphans, so this good, yes.
Sure.
And like, I want there to be a war so we can prove that we're worth more than anyone bargained for and we can like be heroic. Like, he's very much internalized this idea of like being heroic and like either coming out of a war like as a hero or dying in the war as a hero. Like, that's the way.
War is the way that you become.
So he spends the whole first half of the musical in the lead up to the actual like Revolutionary War, like really, really desperately like begging Washington to give him a command so he can lead and like be a hero. And Washington's like, no, you're a good writer and you're a good like behind the scenes guy. And he's like, but I want to fight. And Washington's like, no, we need you to do this thing. Why would we risk you dying when you can like do the finances? He's like constantly getting into fights with people, like, and has no sense of like tone. He doesn't really have any, like, he has great respect for Washington, but he still speaks out of turn like a lot. At one point, Washington is scolding for something and keeps being like, son, while Hamilton's like, don't call me son, don't call me son, just gets like more and more aggressive to the point where they're like standing off.
Every time I speak in front of someone I respect, I'm like, I should never speak to you.
He like speaks out of turn a lot when he's first introduced to all the revolutionaries by Burr. All of the other revolutionaries are talking about their like political ideals, like, you know, like Lafayette and people. And then Burr is like, I don't want to be involved in this. I'm kind of taking a step back and I don't want to say what my ideals are in case I pick the wrong side. And Hamilton, having just met all of these people, is like, if you stand for nothing, what do you fall for? And they're all like, who is this guy? Like, what are you doing? And then, as part of this first song, they're all like, who are you? And he's like, gives his little introduction about himself and gets really excited, and then is like, oh, am I talking too loud? Sometimes I get overexcited, shoot off at the mouth. I never had a group of friends before. He's like, constantly getting into fights. He like alienates everyone in politics except for Washington once they actually get into governing. But like, whereas Burr wants to be in the room where it happens, like, because he personally just wants to be involved. Hamilton wants like to do the right thing. So he wants to be involved in the decisions because he thinks that his way is the correct way and that other people like will do it wrong. He's like really, really stubborn and like can't deal with other people being stubborn because he's like, I'm being stubborn because I'm right and you're being stubborn to annoy me personally. Like, at one point says he'd rather be divisive than indecisive, drop the niceties.
Yeah.
Like immediately offends Angelica Schuyler, who becomes his sister-in-law the first time they meet, by saying, "You strike me as a woman who's never been satisfied," and she's like, "You forget yourself, sir." Well, he's not in any way like a cunning like deceiver. He's just like doing his thing and like bulldozing anyone who gets his way. He like refuses to be pacified when he's talking to someone who does have a command. He's like, "I wish I had your command instead of having to man George's journal." And Burr's like, "No, you don't." He's like, "Yes, I do." And often like the relationship between him and Burr is like the heart of a lot of the things that happen. Obviously it's the heart of the musical, but like they both constantly don't understand each other, and like, "I will never understand you, I don't understand how you stand to decide," is like a constant refrain in their interactions. Like Burr constantly refusing to stand up for what he wants, and like that's all Hamilton ever does. Like Burr doesn't chase after this woman that he loves, he just accepts that she's with someone else, and Hamilton's like, "If you love her, go get her. Like if you stand for nothing, then you aren't doing anything, like you have to be involved in things." And Burr is like, "No, that sounds dangerous, I don't want to do that." Like is very intense and over the top. Like he gets invited to the Constitutional Convention and talks for 6 hours and prefaces his talk with, "What I'm going to say may sound indelicate." Like the cabinet meetings that they have are done as like rap battles, but like in both of them he goes like really, really overboard and like has to be called out by Washington for like going over the top. He has literally never ever been chill about anything. Like the constant theme is that he like is really, really impulsive and is always doing stuff. He's like a workaholic. Like, "Why do you write like you're running out of time?" is a refrain. And obviously this is repeatedly emphasized because it's his like big character trait, but like he is physically incapable of like taking a break. He decides that he wants to defend the Constitution because like it's being slandered. Shows up to Burr's house in the middle of the night to be like, "We need to do this because it's important to me." But like this is part of his like wanting to do the best thing and wanting to do the right thing, in that like he and Burr are both lawyers and he understands that Burr is a better lawyer than him because I talk too much, I'm abrasive, and he's like, "You're a better lawyer than me, so I need you on my team because I don't want to do this if I'm not going to be the best person at it." It's not that he wants all the glory, it's that he wants like the Constitution to have the best defender it can, and Burr refuses because he doesn't want to like put his name to anything. So Hamilton, John Jay, and someone else they decide to write like 25 essays, and in the end they wrote 85 over the span of 6 months, and like the other two guys wrote like 8 and then 20 something, and then Hamilton writes 51. Like never ever has had any chill. And like John Adams, when he's president, privately calls Hamilton a Creole bastard, and Hamilton publishes his response, like ruining his own career, like not entirely, but like to a point. Like it's a like, "I don't care if I kill my career with this letter because I'm confining you to a single term of your presidency. Like it is more important to me that you don't get to continue doing your nonsense, and that like people know what's going on and that people can make their choices, like informed decisions. I don't care if it has an effect on me." He does the same thing later, where after he has cheated on his wife, the woman that he cheated with, her husband, then extorts money from Hamilton to be like, "I'll tell your wife unless you pay me." And a couple of years later, Jefferson, Madison, and Burr come across the like money trail, and they accuse him of like because he's Treasury Secretary, they accuse him of stealing from the government.
Right.
And he's like, "You have nothing, I don't have to tell you anything." And then is like, "But I kind of want the truth to be known." So then he's like, "If you promise not to tell anyone, I'll tell you." So he does. And then Burr implies that he is going to tell people. So Hamilton is like, "Obviously I should get out in front of this," and like publishes a pamphlet, because it's that period where everyone was writing pamphlets about everything, about the Reynolds pamphlet about his affair with Maria Reynolds and her husband's knowledge of it and the fact that he paid him, and like doesn't tell his wife he's doing this, so she just like finds out and then is like, you've ruined our lives. And he has killed his career at this point, like he cannot be president after this, but he's like, but the truth is the important thing. And like also at this point, Angelica, his sister-in-law, comes back from London and she like arrives and he's like, Angelica, thank God, someone who understands what I'm trying to do. And she's like, I'm not here for you, I'm here for my sister. Why would you think that I've come to like comfort you? What? He like misreads people's opinions of him quite a lot. Like at one point Burr is like, has taken this Senate seat, and Hamilton's like, no one knows who you are, no one knows what you stand for. And Burr's like, they don't need to know me, they just know that they don't like you. And Hamilton's like, excuse me? As though he's like got a really good reputation, like everything he's done has been great so far. And like when he gets like often like denies his feelings about stuff, like his Washington is like, why are you upset? He's like, I'm not. He's like very like aggressive but like self-contained, and every so often like explodes, and is like a very good strategist. He like plans things and executes them very well, and he's never does stuff like just for the sake of it. He does it really like intelligently, so he like manipulates Jefferson and Madison into giving him what he wants in exchange for what they want, which is like a lesser thing as far as he and like the welfare of the country is concerned. He's like, I don't care if they get this building wherever they want it, like I need control of the banks and that's what I've got. And he's like, when someone else is promoted during the war instead of him, he's like annoyed because he wanted to be promoted, but also like the guy is really, really bad, and he like can't get over this. So after they've had this terrible battle that this guy completely messed up, this guy starts bad-mouthing Washington, and Hamilton and his best friend are like, we can't have this, can't have this at all. And Hamilton has been given a direct order by Washington not to do anything about it, like just to let it go. So Hamilton's like, well, I can't disobey a direct order. So his best friend like challenges this guy to a duel instead. And Burr and Hamilton are the seconds, and they meet to try and negotiate a peace. And Burr is like, I thought we agreed that like duels are dumb and immature. And Hamilton's like, well, they are, but like then immediately like flips and is like, how many men died because your guy was inexperienced? Like Burr is like, okay, like he cares a lot about everything. And then Washington finds out, like once they've shot the pistols at each other, Washington like appears and has a go at Hamilton for being involved, and is like, oh, this isn't helping anything. And Hamilton's like, yeah, John should have shot him in the mouth, that would have shut him up. Like completely, no, he's not like, yes sir, I'm sorry. He's like, Jefferson refers to his fits of passion in Congress, and like he is like really loyal to Washington and to like the country, not so much to his wife, but like Hamilton won't abandon ship is like an early lyric during the war. Like his wife at one point refers to the worlds you keep erasing and creating in your mind. He has a very like complex inner world. He like writes everything down as far as I could see, same. And like has a frequent tendency to say things without considering emotional impact on the listener, I think is the diagnostic criteria, which is certainly like, yes, I did sleep with this woman. Oh, what do you mean this upset you, Eliza, darling? And like also kind of like assumes that everyone else is honest and doing things for the right reasons when they aren't. So when Burr and Jefferson go up against each other for the presidency, everyone wants Hamilton's opinion, and at this point Burr has revealed himself to be like conniving and like out for what he can get personally, and Hamilton like can't decide for a bit, and then is like, you know what, Jefferson and I have disagreed on literally everything we've ever come up against each other on, but like Jefferson has beliefs, Burr has none, and endorses Jefferson because Jefferson is coming at it from a place of wanting to do the right thing even if Hamilton disagrees with what he's
the right
doing,
thing is.
he's like,
Yeah.
you have a moral standpoint which I respect, even if I disagree with it, whereas Burr has no moral standpoint and I can't understand that at all. And this is like the impetus for Burr challenging Hamilton to a duel. And then, so Burr is like, oh, you have offended me, blah, blah, blah. And Hamilton is like, I will not equivocate on my opinion, like I refuse to retract what I said because I've always worn my opinion on my sleeve. And then he says, you would need to cite a more specific grievance. Here's an itemized list of 30 years of disagreements. And he's like, I won't apologize for doing what's right, I'm trying to do what's best for the Republic. Like, and when Burr threatens him with like, if you don't retract this, I'm gonna challenge you, Hamilton is like, your grievance is legitimate, I stand by what I said, every bit of it, and then like makes it worse. He's like, you stand only for yourself, it's what you do, I can't apologize because it's true. Yeah, he's a terrible liar. Like he like wakes up to go to this duel at dawn, and his wife is like, what are you doing? He's like, I have a really early meeting, like out of town. And then is like, I just need to write something down. And then he's like, this meeting's at dawn. Like, you've changed your story, and like the story that you're giving, that you're going to an early meeting at dawn out of town, is like a very unsubtle way of being like, I'm definitely not going to a duel. Yeah.
That's very sweet.
A good boy.
I'm gonna have to go see Hamilton. Thank you.
You're welcome. You two Slytherin boys.